Stephen.
Hi, Heidi.
Did you know that language is an ever-changing thing?
I did know, but
Have you ever heard the expression beat it?
beat it. Beat it, I've heard in a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, beat it. Just beat it. But did you know that it was actually a slang expression that we got from William Shakespeare?
Wow.
Meaning run away.
Gosh, imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. So slang is an ever-changing social picture of language that can be regional, it can be based on a different culture group.
But it's not, for example, say jargon.
No. What is jargon?
Because jargon is to do with, say, like a typical job or occupation language that they use, say, for example, say if you're a nurse or if you're a doctor or a fisherman or a teacher.
Yeah, so it's language that's specific to a specific occupation.
And you
It's
mentioned...
not dialect.
No, because dialect can be to do where you come from in your region, which part of the country you belong to, or even actually which social class you belong to.
That's right, and it often has words and expressions that are passed from generation to generation. You can often tell where somebody comes from because of their dialect.
Exactly.
But slang is changing, and slang is often a group of words that are developed by a subculture before they become part of normal language.
That's right, and you mentioned the word subculture. A subculture is a group of people such as, say, for example, the people who are criminals, the underworld. Even actually, would you believe students are a subculture?
That's right, students are, and they have their own language. You were telling me an interesting example from the past.
Yeah, I read that a French professor in the 1800s talked about his students saying that his students used a different language from himself and his other colleagues. And I also found out that in some American colleges and universities, they actually make slang dictionaries for the students so that when you move to that university, you'll understand what your fellow students are talking about.
That's so interesting that you mentioned America or the United States, because I was teaching in a language class with people from all over the world, and a student told me, do you know, American English isn't actually English, it's just slang. Yeah. But slang is an ever-changing thing, and it uses some interesting language features.
Yes.
Like metaphor.
Like metaphor, that's, for example, it's like creating a picture. You say, for example...
The smiling sun.
You know, the smiling sun. The sun can't smile, but when you say the smiling sun, you have the idea of a really nice, warm, sunny day.
And slang might use similes, where you're comparing something to like and as. They might use an acronym where letters represent something.
Such as NATO, etc.
Yep. They might use hyperbole.
Hyperbole meaning being exaggerated over the top.
Stealing from other languages.
Yes, I can't think of one of mine. I've got one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to you, if I said, Heidi, shut your gob.
Gob? Mm-hmm. All I can think of is from Willy Wonka and Gobstoppers.
Okay, but gob is actually, it's a slang word for mouth.
And that brings up a really interesting point, Stephen, is next week when we're talking about slang, we're going to give you some actual examples. And to get you thinking about slang words, we're going to tell you some, but not give you the definitions. So, what does Galoot mean?
And what does cop mean?
Think about those two. See us next week when we talk about some more slang words and give you some actual examples. Did you know?
Imagine that.